Morning everyone, so today we're at a Citroen C4 HDi, and this is the Picasso model. So the customer's complaint, it's actually a friend of mine's, they get a engine management fault appears here on this display. It says engine failure, stop car or something like that. So it's been to another garage, and the guy reckons it is the AdBlue pump it's bringing on the code. So I don't know. She said to me that I had a 750 mile down countdown till it would not start, I told her, and then the guy reset it and it's away again. So when he said it's the AdBlue pump, without even me looking at the car, I kind of agreed with that. So because these things are notorious for that. But anyway, we're doing a scan, and look at this. So the BSI, there's a fault in the BSI, present it says, fault response, steering lock, immobiliser, state of driver's door. But here's the one that's coming back. A P2204, it's a temporary fault, Nox sensor, faulty measurement of the Nox content. Now this is a bit of chicken and egg. Is the Nox sensor failing and that's causing the fault because the codes have been cleared, or is it the Nox sensor not being reduced because of the AdBlue pump not working correctly? So I think I really need to find out what the original code was. Maybe that's the best idea. But let's have a look in at the ECM anyway, see if this Nox, well, it says temporary, so you'd imagine it's still reading at the moment. Read fault code. So look, engine fault, have the vehicle repaired. So let's go into read data stream. So this will be exhaust, the Nox system 1 information. Let's try that. Catalyst, coolant, urea, volume of urea. Well, let's just go through them all first of all. So 0 grams of urea in the catalyst. It's waiting for the bleed, it says. You need to run it first. Estimated thermal aging of Nox catalytic converter 64.61. Urea, so urea, pressure of urea 4 bar, that's about right. Quantity, and there's 6 litres of urea stroke AdBlue left in the tank. So it looks alright at the moment, but we know these can be intermittent. So let's go Nox system 2, select all. Authorization of injection of urea based on pressure, no. Injection is authorized. Distance remaining before filling the urea 5,000. Look, flow of exhaust gas is estimated by the Nox sensor. Invalid value. So is that another? So that's staying at 20 parts per million. Nox content upstream of the Nox. Need to give this a run and see what one's. You would think it's the one. Nox content upstream of the Nox catalytic converter, so there'll be 2 Nox sensors. So it's the first one it's no reading. Nox sensor heating control not activated. Pressure of exhaust gas taken by Nox sensor. That's static. So kind of looking like a Nox sensor. Upstream, not downstream. Did that even tell us what one it was? Nox sensor, faulty measurement of the Nox content. So we're going for upstream. In fact, let's go into OBD. That's what we'll do, and see if that gives us any more either. It tells us exactly what one it is. Yes. So go into here, scan, OBD. read fault code. So this is a Citroen. So Nox Sensor Circuit Intermittent Bank 1 Sensor 1. Nox Sensor Circuit Intermittent Bank 1 Sensor 1. So that's the first one. So that's the upstream Nox sensor. So I was going to tell you, at the weekend, OBD really helped me because I was looking at manufacturer's data and it was complaining about the DPF and it said soot. But when I went into OBD, it told me it wasn't the soot that was the problem, it was ash. So always check your OBD. That was a lesson for me. It cost me about an hour and a half to pin down what the problem was. So we need an upstream Nox sensor. Well, I just spoke to the main dealer about that Nox sensor. Boy, these are expensive. And what he did say to me though, and here's a gotcha, there is a, what do you call it, a surcharge. So they want you to return the old sensor. So that says to me, and I'll let you see this. I've got a picture here on eBay. So it'll be something similar to that, right? So the reason they want them back, there's a surcharge of £70, is this bit, the module, which is the most costly bit, that'll probably be good. And it's the bit at the end which is like a lambda sensor, that'll be the bad bit. So it'd be good if I could source just the end bit. But the other thing I don't know is what is access like to this, because this is the one on top of the DPF, so that could be a pain. But let's give this a run. See, I'm just sitting here at idle, so we're still at 60 degrees, so go and give it a run. And you really do need to give them a run for them to spring to life, because I remember that on the Mercedes. In fact, what I'll do is I'll clear the code and see if that springs it to life. So read fault code. It's intermittent at the moment. Well, let's not clear the code. It's too early in the morning for me. Let's just see if it comes to life with us running it, and then we can clear the code later on. So give it a run there, so you can see our engine temperature's up to 92. They've still never came to life yet. The oxygen sensors. Temperature of the exhaust 300 and 260. Pressure in the exhaust, well, I can't read that because, no, I could read for it. Let's see. That'd be for the Nox, that's right. Authorization, yes. Injection authorized. Let's see. Let's go back. Let's go to D-Nox one to see if it's spraying at the moment. Select all. So it is working. I think it's a matter of clear the codes and see if this comes back to life. So he's went to 0, see that? Heating has been activated. So let's graph the lot. So that's the downstream ones went to 0, but he always was at 0, so let's keep driving. Just in a quick acceleration so you can see the content downstream. We get a reading up to 200 parts per million, but the upstream has nothing. So it was only like a blip. Well, there you go, it's away again. 20 parts. I think this is because this one's blocking it, So, but remember it went up to 200, so I think it's like sending out a test signal or something like that. So let's see if the read fault codes. So it's moved to permanent fault now. See that? Nox sensor permanent fault. So let's clear the code. Clear fault memory. Yes. Yes. Engine off. So and there we go. Okay. So put the ignition off. Okay. This is the most important bit in a Citroen Peugeot. You must wait for the countdown to clear the codes. The amount of cars I've went to, they've just tried to clear the codes, but never waited. Causes all problems. Okay. Ignition back on. Read fault code. Nothing. Let's go back into our data stream. Nox system 2. Select all. Let's start it back up. And let's go and give it a shimmy. So you see the heating's activated. So we'll graph that again. Let's go. So I cleared the code, took it a test drive, and you can see we only get the odd spiky reading for the downstream. So I wonder if the upstream's blocking that, and we're getting absolutely nothing for the upstream. And that's after clearing the codes. And you can see the heating's still activated. So let's go back and see if there's anything pending. You probably not get it in this, you probably get it in OBD. See the special functions, sometimes you can test them. Service parts. Probably need to tell it if it's got a new Nox sensor on it, that we've done that. So read fault codes, nothing there. Let's go back into OBD, see if there's anything pending. Fault code. Citroen. No fault codes. It needs a Nox sensor. So another day, we're back this morning at the Citroen. So we've ordered the part, but different scan tools give you different results. So there we go. We've got a downstream and an upstream, as we said yesterday. But also in this scan tool you can see the flow of exhaust gas estimated. That's actually reading today. Well, that's estimated. No, it was reading yesterday, I'm blathering. Anyway, so I cleared the code and she took it for a run. The codes. So it came right back a P2204. So let me see, I'll show you. For two Nox sensors, so we looked all down there, there ain't any, because we've got temperature sensor 1 and temperature sensor 2. And I'll take you underneath it. And we've looked up there on the exhaust, and there's nothing there, there's nothing along there. The only thing I have is at the back end there. We only have one Nox sensor, the usual suspect, so maybe it's just a scan tool issue. It's reporting 2 when it only has 1. So I phoned the main dealer and he confirmed, well the parts department did, that it did only have 1 Nox sensor. So what we'll do, we'll tackle that one, we'll disconnect it and see what codes come back. But the pain is trying to get these things removed. So that's the sensor disconnected. So we're going to see what code is generated on the scan tool. It's held underneath this panel here. There's a 13mm nut there. Sorry, a 13mm nut there and a 10mm there. And just pop round the corner and get it there. See there, we've disconnected it and we just went back into generic OBD because it just said in the manufacturers there was just a problem with the Nox sensor. But you can see that pins it right down. U029D lost communication with Nox sensor A. And that's the one we're looking for, Nox sensor A. Because there is only one on it. Right, we know where the wires. And what I'm going to try and do is put a 22mm spanner on that to see if I can heave it out. But first of all, we're going to put a heat inductor on it, get a bit of heat into this, and try. Now, our engineering friend says it usually goes for the first 3 threads and then it starts to get tight. Do not continue any further. We'll have to take the exhaust off and take it to him because we'll just waste the threads. So let's get the heat inductor on it, see what we can do. Look at that, it's out, it's a good day. So I'll show you. So there it's there, and you can see our threads are intact. So what I've done, I applied the heat and we used a 22mm spanner, and I'll show you my setup. So here was my setup here, and I put one of these extension things on it. It goes over the spanner, and I gave it a wee bit heave, and out it came. But see, when it was coming out, I worked it back and forward using, sprayed in some D-block, you can see there. And that's the secret, do not rip out the threads. So that's my setup, that worked. 5 out of 5 for the heat inductor, it done the business. So there's the module bit, and there's the sensor. So as I was saying to you yesterday, the main dealer wants this bit back for the £70 surcharge. So there must be a way, if you're, as we would say, skint, buying this bit and wiring in just this bit into that sensor. Although we're not going to do that here because I think that'd be alright to do it on your own car, but if you're we've got a customer here, so they want reliability. But I think if I get a car like that, I would try it myself. So there you go. So I think we remember, I never actually tested it on the car because there's a power and a ground and 2 CAN communication wires. Now, my theory is, if the power and ground was down, you would have no comm with it. But the no comm situation only happened after we disconnected it. So to me, that proves that power and ground is good and CAN communication is good. So, and here's the acid test. When you phone the main dealer, they're on the shelf, they're in stock. So does that not really say it all? So that's the new part arrived, moment of truth. There's the old one, we'll maybe muck about with that, see if we can get it to live again. So let's fit it, and then we need to tell the car that it has a new NOx sensor installed. There's our wiring. See, just for your reference, the 2 outer ones are power and ground. See that yellow green one, that's the ground, and the grey one I'm sure is the power, and the 2 in the middle's CAN. So you get 12 volts across the 2 outers, and it's probably 2 volts in each of the middle wires. But no got time to check it tonight. It's Friday and we're going dancing. Not. Nox sensor fully installed, and look, no wiggle. So that means it's properly seated. And then I run the wire through the little conduit bits, and I've plugged it back in. Now we need to tell it it's got a new one. Right, Roddy? So here we go. We're on the scan tool. So it'll be functional test, special functions. So it'll be replacement parts, work on emission control system, replacement of Nox sensor, switch off ignition, wait for 30 seconds. Switch it on. Continue. So let's go back, go back, go back, go back. Codes. There we go. So go back, clear them out, clear codes, continue. Codes, no codes. Let's go into our data, select, I think it's DNOX 2. So, upstream. Similar figures, but here we go. This is looking promising. Authorization, yes. Injection is authorized. 64 degrees, so we're still to heat it up. You usually need to be at 90 before these things start working. This shows invalid, but I think it showed the same on the snap-on, and the pressure of exhaust estimated, that's gone 0.98 bar. So the heating has now been activated. So it's fingers crossed time. Did we make the right call? You can see this one's dropped to 0. We're at 63 degrees. Oh, there we go, we've got a reading 363 parts per million. Oh, I think we can call that a fix, Roddy. It's Friday night, we'll be able to have a fish supper. Fish supper, and Saturday tea. Oh yeah, haggis. Haggis, oh, it's went back to 0. Oh, that's because you're decelerating, isn't it? But you're fitting accelerator. Accelerate. Oh, that's it back up, good lad. That value is still invalid. So we're looking good here. Here we go, we're going to accelerate here. There we go. So the AdBlue injector should be working to reduce the NOx. So that's a fix. So let's go back. Let's see what our pressures are like for. So we'll go DNOx 1, select all, graph it. So DNOx catalyst converter load is 0.46 grams, steady pressure, average consumption 80 degrees, engine speed. Estimate thermal agent of DNOx 64, is that 64%? Urea gauge pump module stopped, is at 5.4 bar, I think you can see that there. There's quantity of urea injected, so we've had some, so I think as Roddy accelerates, that shoots up. Maybe no. Reference value of quantity of urea, so that tells you what it wants and that tells you what it's getting. So how much did we get there? So we sprayed up to, what's that, 80 milligrams per COUP, whatever that means. Quite difficult to predict when it's going to spray urea fluid in, so there you go. We're only cruising and it's sprayed in just under 50. But there's another one there, so I couldn't really say, is it when it's accelerating, when it's cruising?
No, that wasn't the throttle there.
Was it no?
When you mentioned it.
That's right, you were just cruising, eh?
Aye.
So that's it's accelerating. No. There we go. We'll just watch it.
I think that's what it would do, eh?
I know. To reduce all the emissions, you think. Read fault codes. Oh. Communication fault with built-in system interface. So that's with the BSI. Permanent fault. I don't know what that wasn't there before. So, or was it there before? Can't remember. Need to go back my scan and have a look. That's a permanent fault. So no, unless it's something to do with the new module. BSI.
Recognised that, right?
Let's see if that comes back. So I checked in the BSI module. Now I can communicate with the BSI, but it seems to have a lot of faults in it. So I think maybe if we clear out all the faults in this system, maybe that'd be the best idea. So let's go back, scan the full lot, then we'll clear it. Right, this is it just finishing off its scan. So let's go diagnostic plan. So BSI fault event not stored in faults log, steering lock, immobiliser. Oh, in fact, they were all there the first time. Communication fault with the BSI, so, and electric back actuator sensor intermittent. So let's clear out the codes, and we should be clear DTCs. Yes. If it does it, probably need to do one at a time. Let's let it go and see what comes back. But we'll call that a fix.